Excerpt from Auguries of Innocence by William Blake, 1757 to 1827. Read for LibriVox.org. He who mocks the infant's faith shall be mocked in age and death. He who shall teach the child to doubt, the rotting grave shall ne'er get out. He who respects the infant's faith triumphs over hell and death. The babe is more than swaddling bands throughout all these human lands. Tools were made and born were hands, every farmer understands. The questioner who sits so sly shall never know how to reply. He who replies to words of doubt doth put the light of knowledge out. A puddle or the cricket's cry is to doubt a fit reply. The child's toys and the old man's reasons are the fruits of the two seasons. The emmet's inch and eagle's mile make lame philosophy to smile. A truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. He who doubts from what he sees will ne'er believe, do what you please. If the sun and moon should doubt, they'd immediately go out. Every night and every morn some to misery are born. Every morn and every night some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight, some are born to endless night. Joy and woe are woven fine, a clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs the joy with silken twine. It is right, it should be so, man was made for joy and woe. And when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go. We are led to believe a lie when we see with, not through the eye, which was born in a night to perish in a night when the soul slept in beams of light. God appears and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night, but doth a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Autumn Woods by William Cullen Bryant. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Ere in the northern gale the summer tresses of the trees are gone, the woods of autumn all round our vale have put their glory on. The mountains that enfold in their wide sweep the colored landscape round seem groups of giant kings in purple and gold that guard the enchanted ground. I roam the woods that crown the upland where the mingled splendors glow, where the gay company of trees look down on the green fields below. My steps are not alone in these bright walks, the sweet southwest at play flies rustling where the painted leaves are strown along the winding way. And far in heaven the while, the sun that sends that gale to wander here pours out on the fair earth his quiet smile, the sweetest of the year. Where now the solemn shade, verdure and gloom where many branches meet, so grateful when the noon of summer made the valley sick with heat? Let in through all the trees come the strange rays, the forest's depths are bright. Their sunny colored foliage in the breeze twinkles like beams of light. The rivulet, late unseen, where bickering through the shrubs its waters run, shines with the image of its golden screen and glimmerings of the sun. But 'neath yon crimson tree, lover to listening maid might breathe his flame, nor mark within its roseate canopy her blush of maiden shame. O autumn, why so soon depart the hues that make thy forest glad, thy gentle wind and thy fair sunny noon, and leave thee wild and sad? Ah, 'twere a lot too blessed forever in thy colored shades to stray, amid the kisses of the soft southwest to rove and dream for aye, and leave the vain low strife that makes men mad, the tug for wealth and power. the passions and the cares that wither life and waste its little hour. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Avila by George Santayana. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Again my feet are on the fragrant moor amid the purple uplands of Castile, realm proudly desolate and nobly poor, scorched by the sky's inexorable zeal. Wide desert where a diadem of towers above Adahar hymns a silent town, and locks, unmindful of the mocking hours, her 20 temples in a granite crown. The shafts of fervid light are in the sky, and in my heart the mysteries of yore. Here the sad trophies of my spirit lie, these dead fulfilled my destiny before. Like huge primeval stones that strew this plain, their nameless sorrows sink upon my breast, and like this ardent sky their cancelled pain smiles at my grief and quiets my unrest. For here hath mortal life from age to age endured the silent hand that makes and mars, and sighing taken up its heritage beneath the smiling and inhuman stars. Still o'er this town the crested castle stands, a nest for storks, as once for haughty souls. Still from the abbey where the Vale expands, the curfew for the long departed tolls, wafting some ghostly blessing to the heart from prayer of nun or silent Capuchin, to heal with balm of Golgotha the smart of weary labor and distracted sin. What fate has cast me on a tide of time, careless of joy and covetous of gold? What force compelled to weave the pensive rhyme, when loves are mean and faith and honor old? When riches crown in vain men's sordid lives, and learning chokes a mind of base degree? What winged spirit rises from their hives? What heart revolting ventures to be free? Their pride will sink and more ignobly fade, without memorial of its hectic fire. What altar shall survive them where they prayed? What lovely deities? What riven lyre? Tarry not, pilgrim, but with inward gaze pass daily musing where their prisons are, and o'er the ocean of their babble raise thy voice in greeting to thy changeless star. Abroad a tumult and a ruin here, nor world nor desert hath a home for thee. Out of the sorrows of the barren year build thou thy dwelling in eternity. Let patience, faith's wise sister, be thy heaven, and with high thoughts necessity alloy. Love is enough, and love is ever given, while fleeting days bring gift of fleeting joy. The little pleasures that to catch the sun bubble a moment up from being's deep, the glittering sands of passion as they run, the merry laughter and the happy sleep. These are the gems that, like the stars on fire, encrust with glory all our heaven's zones. Each shining atom, in itself entire, brightens the galaxy of sister stones. Dust of a world that crumbled when God's dream to throbbing pulses broke the life of things, and mingled with the void and scattered gleam of many orbs that move in many rings. Perchance at last into the parent sun to fall again and reunite their rays, when God awakes and gathers into one the light of all his loves and all his days. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Bury Me in a Free Land by Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. Read for LibriVox.org by Nefeli Vidali. Make me a grave wherever you will, in a lowly plain or a lofty hill. Make it among earth's humblest graves, but not in a land where men are slaves. I could not rest if around my grave I heard the steps of a trembling slave. His shadow above my silent tomb would make it a place of fearful gloom. I could not rest if I heard the tread of a coffle gang to the shambles led, and the mother's shriek of wild despair rise like a curse on the trembling air. I could not sleep if I saw the lash drinking her blood at each fearful gash, and I saw her babes torn from her breast, like trembling doves from their parent nest. I'd shudder and start if I heard the bay of bloodhounds seizing their human prey, and I heard the captive plead in vain as they bound afresh his galling chain. If I saw young girls from their mothers' arms bartered and sold for their youthful charms, my eye would flash with a mournful flame, my death-pale cheek grow red with shame. I would sleep, dear friends, where bloated might can rob no man of his dearest right. My rest shall be calm in any grave, where none can call his brother a slave. I ask no monument proud and high to arrest the gaze of the passers-by. All that my yearning spirit craves is bury me not in a land of slaves. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Buttercups and Daisies by Eliza Cook. Read for LibriVox.org by Lynda Marie Neilson, Vancouver, BC. I never see a young hand hold the starry bunch of white and gold, but something warm and fresh will start about the region of my heart. My smile expires into a sigh. I feel a struggling in the eye, 'twixt humid drop and sparkling ray, till rolling tears have won their way, for soul and brain will travel back through memory's checkered mazes, to days when I but trod life's track for buttercups and daisies. Tell me, ye men of wisdom rare, of sober speech and silver hair, who carry counsel wise and sage, with all the gravity of age. Oh, say, do you not like to hear the accents ringing in your ear, when sportive urchins laugh and shout, tossing these precious flowers about? Springing with bold and gleesome bound, proclaiming joy that crazes, and chorusing the magic sound of buttercups and daisies. Are there, I ask, beneath the sky, blossoms that knit so strong a tie with childhood's love? Can any please, or light the infant eye like these? No, no, there's not a bud on earth of richest tint or warmest birth can ever fling such zeal and zest into the tiny hand and breast. Who does not recollect the hours when burning words and praises were lavished on those shining flowers, buttercups and daisies? There seems a bright and fairy spell about their very names to dwell, and though old time has marked my brow with care and thought, I love them now. Smile, if you will, but some heart strings are closest linked to simplest things, and these wild flowers will hold mine fast till love and life and all be past. And then the only wish I have is that the one who raises the turf sod o'er me plant my grave with buttercups and daisies. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Cecily Parsley's Nursery Rhymes for Little Peter in New Zealand by Beatrix Potter. Read for LibriVox.org by Daniel Miguel, Auckland, New Zealand, September 2018. Cecily Parsley lived in a pen and brewed good ale for gentlemen. Gentlemen came every day till Cecily Parsley ran away. Goosey, goosey, gander, whither will you wander? Upstairs and downstairs, and in my lady's chamber. This pig went to market. This pig stayed at home. This pig had a bit of meat, and this pig had none. This little pig cried, "Wee, wee, wee, I can't find my way home." Pussy-cat sits by the fire. How should she be fair? In walks the little dog, says Pussy, "Are you there?" "How do you do, Mistress Pussy, how do you do?" "I thank you kindly, little dog, I fare as well as you." Three blind mice, see how they run. They all run after the farmer's wife, and she cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life as three blind mice? Bow, wow, wow, whose dog art thou? I'm little Tom Tinker's dog, bow, wow, wow. We have a little garden, a garden of our own, and every day we water there the seeds that we have sown. We love our little garden, and tend it with such care. You will not find a faded leaf or blighted blossom there. Ninny Nanny Neatycoat, in a white petticoat, with a red nose, the longer she stands, the shorter she grows. End of Cecily Parsley's Nursery Rhymes. This recording is in the public domain.
Clair de Lune by Arthur Symons. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. In the moonlit room, your face, moonlight-coloured, fainting white, and the silence of the place round about us in the night, and my arms are round about you in the silence of the night. Lips that are not mine to kiss, lips how often kissed in vain, broken seal of memories, where the kisses come again that the lips of all your lovers laid upon your lips in vain. Eyes that are not mine to keep in the mirror of my eyes, where I tremble lest from sleep other ghosts should re-arise. Why enthrall me with your magic, haunting lips, triumphant eyes? For the silence of the night swims around me like a stream, and your eyes have caught the light of a moon-enchanted dream, and your arms glide round about me, and I fade into a dream. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me, and may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark, and may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Diamonds by Arthur Symons. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Your diamonds on my finger glisten, still in the dull, forsaken room. Alone with thoughts of you, I listen to the rain sobbing through the gloom. But what soft wandering light is this comes flooding to a ruddier glow? The warm remembrances of bliss your diamonds on my finger know. When, heart to heart, we lay and listened, and, where the tedious gaslight rests, your diamonds on my finger glistened in the white hollow of your breasts. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dining Room Tea by Rupert Brooke. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. When you were there, and you, happiness crowned the night. I too, laughing and looking, one of all, I watched the quivering lamplight fall on plate and flowers and pouring tea and cup and cloth, and they and we flung all the dancing moments by with jest and glitter. Lip and eye flashed on the glory, shone and cried, improvident, unmemoried. And fitfully, and like a flame, the light of laughter went and came. Proud in their careless transience moved the changing faces that I loved. Till suddenly, and otherwhence, I looked upon your innocence, for lifted clear and still and strange from the dark woven flow of change, under a vast and starless sky, I saw the immortal moment lie. One instant I, an instant, knew as God knows all, and it and you, I, above time, oh, blind, could see in witless immortality. I saw the marble cup, the tea, hung on the air, an amber stream. I saw the fire's unglittering gleam, the painted flame, the frozen smoke. No more the flooding lamplight broke on flying eyes and lips and hair, but lay, but slept unbroken there, on stiller flesh, and body breathless, and lips and laughter stayed and deathless, and words on which no silence grew. Light was more alive than you. For suddenly, and otherwhence, I looked on your magnificence. I saw the stillness and the light, and you, august, immortal, white, holy and strange, and every glint, posture and jest and thought and tint, freed from the mask of transiency, triumphant in eternity, emote, immortal. Dazed, at length human eyes grew, mortal strength wearied, and time began to creep. Change closed about me like a sleep. Light glinted on the eyes I loved. The cup was filled, the bodies moved, the drifting petal came to ground, the laughter chimed its perfect round, the broken syllable was ended. And I, so certain and so friended, how could I cloud, or how distress the heaven of your unconsciousness, or shake at time's sufficient spell, stammering of lights unutterable? The eternal holiness of you, the timeless end you never knew, the peace that lay, the light that shone. You never knew that I had gone 1,000,000 miles away, and stayed 1,000,000 years. The laughter played unbroken round me, and the jest flushed on. And we that knew the best down wonderful hours grew happier yet. I sang at heart, and talked, and ate, and lived from laugh to laugh, I too, when you were there, and you, and you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dirge for an Infant by Leigh Hunt. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. Dirge for an Infant. He is dead and gone, a flower born and withered in an hour. Coldly lies the death frost now on his little rounded brow, and the seal of darkness lies ever on his shrouded eyes. He will never feel again touch of human joy or pain. Never will his once bright eyes open with a glad surprise, nor the death frost leave his brow. All is over with him now. Vacant now his cradle bed, as a nest from whence hath fled some dear little bird, whose wings rest from timid flutterings. Thrown aside the childish rattle, hushed for aye the infant prattle, little broken words that could by none else be understood, save the childless one who weeps o'er the grave where now he sleeps, closed his eyes and cold his brow. All is over with him now. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Discovered by Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Read for LibriVox.org by Mary Patterson, Monmouth County, New Jersey. Seen you down at church last night? Never mind, Miss Lucy. What I mean? Oh, that's all right. Never mind, Miss Lucy. You was smart as smart could be, but you couldn't hide from me. Ain't I got two eyes to see? Never mind, Miss Lucy. Guess you thought you's awful keen. Never mind, Miss Lucy. Everything you done, I seen. Never mind, Miss Lucy. Seen him take your arm just so when he got outside the door. Oh, I know that man's your beau. Never mind, Miss Lucy. Say, now, honey, what'd he say? Never mind, Miss Lucy. Keep your secrets. That's your way. Never mind, Miss Lucy. Won't tell me and I'm your pal. I gon' tell his other gal. Know her too. Her name is Sal. Never mind, Miss Lucy. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fleurette by Robert W. Service. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. The Wounded Canadian Speaks. My leg, it's off at the knee. Do I miss it? Well, some. You see, I've had it since I was born, and lately a devilish corn. I rather chuckle with glee to think how I've fooled that corn. But I'll hobble around all right. It isn't that. It's my face. Oh, I know I'm a hideous sight. Hardly a thing in place. Sort of gargoyle, you'd say. Nurse won't give me a glass. But I see the folks as they pass shudder and turn away in distress. Mere enough, I guess. I'm gay, you bet I'm gay, but I wasn't a while ago. If you'd seen me even today, the darndest picture of woe, with this Caliban mug of mine, so ravaged and raw and red, turned to the wall, in fine, wishing that I was dead. What has happened since then? Since I lay with my face to the wall, the most despairing of men? Listen, I'll tell you all. That poilu across the way, with the shrapnel wound in his head, has a sister. She came today to sit a while by his bed. All morning I heard him fret, "Oh, when will she come, Fleurette?" Then, sudden, a joyous cry, the tripping of little feet, the softest, tenderest sigh, a voice so fresh and sweet, clear as a silver bell, fresh as the morning dews. C'est toi, Marcel, mon frère, comme je suis heureuse. So over the blanket's rim I raised my terrible face, and I saw how I envied him. A girl of such delicate grace, 16, all laughter and love, as gay as a linnet, and yet as tenderly sweet as a dove, half woman, half child, Fleurette. Then I turned to the wall again. I was awfully blue, you see, and I thought with a bitter pain such visions are not for me. So there like a log I lay, all hidden, I thought, from view, when sudden I heard her say, "Ah, who is that Melheru?" Then briefly I heard him tell, however he came to know, how I'd smothered a bomb that fell into the trench, and so none of my men were hit, though it busted me up a bit. Well, I didn't quiver an eye, and he chattered, and there she sat, and I fancied I heard her sigh, but I wouldn't just swear to that. And maybe she wasn't so bright, though she talked in a merry strain, and I closed my eyes ever so tight, yet I saw her ever so plain. Her dear little tilted nose, her delicate dimpled chin, her mouth like a budding rose, and the glistening pearls within. Her eyes like the violet, such a rare little queen, Fleurette. And at last when she rose to go, the light was a little dim, and I ventured to peep, and so I saw her, graceful and slim. And she kissed him, and oh, how I envied and envied him. So when she was gone, I said, in a rather dreary voice, to him of the opposite bed, "Ah, friend, how you must rejoice! But me, I am a thing of dread. For me nevermore the bliss, the thrill of a woman's kiss." Then I stopped, for lo, she was there, and a great light shone in her eyes, and me, I could only stare, I was so taken by surprise, when gently she bent her head. "May I kiss you, Sergeant?" she said. Then she kissed my burning lips, with her mouth like a scented flower, and I thrilled to the fingertips, and I hadn't even the power to say, "God bless you, dear." And I felt such a precious tear fall on my withered cheek, and darn it, I couldn't speak. And so she went sadly away, and I knew that my eyes were wet. Ah, not to my dying day will I forget. Can you wonder now I am gay? God bless her, that little Fleurette. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Forgotten Lay by Therese Kietner, Keller, 1859 to 1925. Read for LibriVox.org. Close where the forest shadows lie, a child sat all alone. He watched the floating clouds on high, his clear eyes radiant shone. Deep in his bosom, silently, tones of sweet music rang, an old and wondrous melody that once his mother sang. The music ne'er his heart forsook, there it remembered lies. The melody his mother took with her to paradise. But yet his tongue forgot the lay, the time had grown so long. Strive to recall it how he may, he cannot catch the song. O human heart, some well-loved strain in thy recesses lies, a song that from life's joy and pain escaped to paradise. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ghosts Gathering by Lewis Golding. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. You hear no bones click, see no shaken shroud. Though no tombs grin, you feel ghosts gathering. Crowd on pitiful crowd of small dead singing men tread the sure earth they feebly hymned. Again with fleshless hand seize unswayed grass. They seize insensitive flowers which bend not. Through gross trees they sift. Nothing withstands them. Nothing knows them, nor the songs they sang, their busy woes. Hence from these ingrate things, to the towns they weep, if ghosts have tears. You think a wrinkled heap of leaves heaved, or a wing stirred, less than this, some chance on the midnight cities, Others miss the few faint lights, thin voices. Wretched these, doomed to beat long the windy vacancies. Some mourn through forlorn towns. They prowl and seek. What seek they? Who knows them? If branches creak, and leaves flap, and slow women ply their trade, those all are living things. But these are dead, all that they were, dead totally. What fool still knows their extinguished songs? They had their fill of average joys and sorrows. They learned how love wilts, death does not wilt. What more left now? But one ghost yet of all these ghosts may find himself not utterly faded. Through his blind some old man's lampreys probe the darkness. Sick of his gaunt quest, the ghost halts. The clock's tick troubles the silence. Tiredly the ghost scans the open book on the table. A flame fans, a weak, wan fire floods through his subtle veins. No, no, not wholly forgotten. Loves and pains not suffered wholly for nothing. The old man bends over the book, makes notes for pious ends. Some curious futile work 12 men at most will read and yawn over. The dizzy ghost, like some more ignorant moth, circles the light. Not suffered wholly for nothing. A sweet night, the old man mumbles. A warmth is in the air. He smiles, not knowing why. He moves his chair closer against the table, and sitting bowed, lovingly turns the leaves, and chants aloud. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Giver of Stars by Amy Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Hold your soul open for my welcoming. Let the quiet of your spirit bathe me with its clear and rippled coolness, that loose-limbed and weary I find rest outstretched upon your peace as on a bed of ivory. Let the flickering flame of your soul play all about me, that into my limbs may come the keenness of fire, the life and joy of tongues of flame, and going out from you tightly strung and in tune, I may rouse the blear-eyed world, and pour into it the beauty which you have begotten. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Guide for Poets by C.J. Dennis. Read for LibriVox.org by Son of the Exiles. A Guide for Poets, compiled by the Sentimental Bloke. I ain't no verse-og when I bursts in song and fills the air with tuneful melody. I likes for other coves to come along and biff the lyre in company with me. So when I sees some peb beguile an hour, be joinin' in the chorus of me song, I never sees no use in turnin' sour, for singin' days with no one lasts too long. I'd like to see the rocks and Little Lon grow centres for the art of weavin' rhyme, with dinky harps for blokes to plunk upon, and spruikin' poets workin' overtime. I'd love to listen to each tuneful lay of soulful coots who scorn to write for gain, to see true art bloom down in Chowder Bay, and culture jump the joint in Spadger's Lane. Gawstruth, for us life's got no joy to spare. We're short of bird-songs soarin' clear and pure. A bloke is hardly off the bottle there before he's in the jug, a bird for sure. So who am I to say no bloke shall sing just how and where and when such blokes may choose. She's got no lines to show nor yet no ring. Lor' blimey, I ain't married to me muse. And square and all to show there's no offence, to show that in me heart true friendship lies, I gives free gratis and without expense a few examples just to put 'em wise. First choose some swingin' metre such as this that Omar used per fits to boost the wine, and here's a point true artists shouldn't miss: sling in a bit of slang to every line. And when you're full of them alternate rhymes, as all the true push poets is at times, just ring the changes as I'm doin' now, and find excuse to say the bloomin' cow. Or comin' back to Omar's style again, it's easy for to pen a sweet refrain, with this here just a dead-head sort of line, and this one rhymin' with the former twain. And though this style me soul has often vexed, with care and pains the knack is easy caught, this lime's rhymed with the first, and then the next is cut off short. And if you want to round it off real neat, just add a couplet here of equal feet. And here's a style I've very often done. You swing off here and find a second rhyme, then hitch the third line to the leadin' one, and make the fourth lap with the second chime. And then you sort of come another time, and just end up the same as you begun. It's all dead easy when you know the way, and have the time to practice it, but say, although it sort of takes the eye, no doubt, and mind you, I'm not sayin' but it may, without a stock of rhymes to see you out, this style of rhymin's like to turn you grey. The triplets come much harder than the twins, but I have had to bear 'em for me sins. Here for a single line you change the style, switch off and rhyme the same as you begins, and then you comes back at it with a smile, pretendin' it's dead easy all the while. Them sawed-off lines has often stood me friends, for you can cut 'em up to serve your ends, and frequent I have slung the dotin' throng this sort of song. To ring surprises on the eye and ear is half the game. It seems to kinder queer the dull monotony you make a miss, and then do this. Oh, 'struth, it's pretty, but you take me tip, it gives a bloke the everlastin' pip who tries to live upon the game and gets corns on his brain and melancholy debts. With sweat and tears, with misery and sighs, you wring your soul case for one drop of bliss to give the cold hard world, and it replies, "Prompt payment will oblige, please settle this." The rarest treasures of your heart you spend on callous, thankless coots, and in the end it comes to this: if you can't find a muse who takes in washin', what's the flamin' use? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I Hear the Stars Still Singing by James Weldon Johnson. Read for LibriVox.org by Mary Patterson. Monmouth County, New Jersey. I hear the stars still singing to the beautiful, silent night as they sped with noiseless winging their ever westward flight. I hear the waves still falling on the stretch of lonely shore, but the sound of a sweet voice calling I shall hear, alas, no more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Inscription for a monument in Crosthwaite Church, in the Vale of Keswick, by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Inscription for a monument in Crosthwaite Church, in the Vale of Keswick. Ye vales and hills, whose beauty hither drew the poet's steps, and fixed him here, on you his eyes have closed. And ye, loved books, no more shall Southey feed upon your precious lore, to works that never shall forfeit their renown, adding immortal labours of his own. Whether he traced historic truth with zeal for the state's guidance or the church's weal, or fancy, disciplined by studious art, informed his pen, or wisdom of the heart, or judgment sanctioned in the patriot's mind by reverence for the rights of all mankind. Wide were his aims, yet in no human breast could private feelings meet for holier rest. His joys, his griefs, have vanished like a cloud from Skiddaw's top, but he to heaven was vowed through his industrious life, and Christian faith calmed in his soul the fear of change and death. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Shakespeare's Walk by William Thomson. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. By yon hills, with morning spread, lifting up the tufted head, by those golden waves of corn, which the laughing fields adorn, by the fragrant breath of flowers, stealing from the woodbine bowers, by this thought-inspiring shade, by the gleamings of the glade, by the babblings of the brook, winding slow in many a crook, by the rustling of the trees, by the humming of the bees, by the woodlark, by the thrush, wildly warbling from the bush, by the fairies' shadowy tread, or the cowslip's dewy head. Father, monarch of the stage, glory of Eliza's age, Shakespeare, deign to lend thy face this romantic nook to grace, where untaught nature sports alone, since thou and nature are but one. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love Song by William Carlos Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston, Tharp. I lie here thinking of you. The stain of love is upon the world. Yellow, 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 it eats into the leaves, smears with saffron the horned branches that lean heavily against a smooth purple sky. There is no light, only a honey-thick stain that drips from leaf to leaf and limb to limb, spoiling the colors of the whole world. You, far off there, under the wine-red selvage of the west. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Read for LibriVox.org by Devorah Allen. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent, to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask what is it. Let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house, and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time, to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions, before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair, with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all. Have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase, and when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt-ends of my days and ways, and how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight, downed with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table, or wrap about a shawl, and should I then presume, and how should I begin? Shall I say, I have gone at dusk through narrow streets, and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt-sleeves, leaning out of windows? I should have been a pair of ragged claws, scuttling across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, stretched on the floor, here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head, grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it, after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worth while to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all, if one, settling a pillow by her head, should say, that is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. And would it have been worth it, after all? Would it have been worth while, after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this, and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worth while, if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl, and turning toward the window, should say, that is not it at all, that is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do, to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse, at times indeed almost ridiculous, almost at times the fool. I grow old, I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back, when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea-girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us, and we drown. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Melancholy Lover to His Mistress by Leigh Hunt. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. The Melancholy Lover to His Mistress. Oh, think not that the pensive air that shades thy lover's mien betrays his secret, silent care within this heart serene. Bliss, just like grief, will sometimes start in teardrops to the eye. And what but bliss can reach this heart, sweet girl, when thou art by? Have you not felt, when all the heart is big with love's excess, a restless longing to impart the transport you possess? 'Tis this that o'er my gazing eyes thus throws a mournful hue. 'Tis this returns in quivering sighs the love that smiles in you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Soul is Like an Enchanted Boat by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. My soul is like an enchanted boat, which like a sleeping swan doth float upon the silver waves of thy sweet singing. And thine doth like an angel sit beside a helm conducting it, whilst all the winds with melody are ringing. It seems to float ever, forever, upon that many winding river, between mountains, woods, abysses, a paradise of wildernesses, till, like one in slumber bound, borne to the ocean, I float down, around, into a sea profound, of ever-spreading sound. Meanwhile, thy spirit lifts its pinions in music's most serene dominions, catching the winds that fan that happy heaven, and we sail on, away, afar, without a course, without a star, but by the instinct of sweet music driven, till through Elysian garden islets by thee, most beautiful of pilots, where never mortal pinnace glided, the boat of my desire is guided. Realms where the air we breathe is love, which in the winds and on the waves doth move, harmonizing this earth with what we feel above. We have passed age's icy caves, and manhood's dark and tossing waves, and youth's smooth ocean, smiling to betray. Beyond the glassy gulfs we flee of shadow-peopled infancy, through death and birth to a diviner day, a paradise of vaulted bowers lit by downward-gazing flowers, and watery paths that wind between wildernesses calm and green, peopled by shapes too bright to see, and rest, having beheld somewhat like thee, which walk upon the sea and chant melodiously. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
No Fees by Anonymous. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. No Fees. In Re. Payne versus Henry Hawthorne Jones. Alas, poor Jones, how sad your fate! The law's stern coldness comes to freeze your burning wish to captivate with words you know will always please. No fees. When bang goes sexpence for a page of poorest paper where one sees more puffs than programme, then your rage seems right. One cries, at least for these, no fees. If Dr. Bramwell, who they say cures psychological disease, had known he would have willed away your pain, like toothache, he would seize no fees. You've lost the case, and now, that's flat, must pay those eminent Q.C.'s your bill of costs. No playbill that. You will not find the law decrees no fees. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. A Nuptial Verse to Mistress Elizabeth Lee, now Lady Tracy, by Robert Herrick. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. A Nuptial Verse to Mistress Elizabeth Lee, now Lady Tracy. Spring with the lark, most comely bride, and meet your eager bridegroom with auspicious feet. The morn's far spent, and the immortal sun corals his cheek to see those rites not done. Fie, lovely maid! Indeed you are too slow, when to the temple love should run, not go. Dispatch your dressing then, and quickly wed, then feast, and coit a little, then to bed. This day is love's day, and this busy night is yours, in which you challenged are to fight with such an armed but such an easy foe, as will, if you yield, lie down conquered too. The field is pitched, but such must be your wars as that your kisses must outvie the stars. Fall down together, vanquished both, and lie drowned in the blood of rubies there, not die. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
O Black and Unknown Bards by James Weldon Johnson. Read for LibriVox.org by Devorah Allen. O black and unknown bards of long ago, how came your lips to touch the sacred fire? How in your darkness did you come to know the power and beauty of the minstrel's lyre? Who first from midst his bonds lifted his eyes? Who first from out the still watch, lone and long, feeling the ancient faith of prophets rise within his dark-kept soul, burst into song? Heart of what slave poured out such melody as steal away to Jesus, on its strains his spirit must have nightly floated free, though still about his hands he felt his chains? Who heard great Jordan roll, whose starward eye saw chariots swing low, and who was he that breathed that comforting melodic sigh, nobody knows the trouble I see? What merely living clod, what captive thing, could up toward God through all its darkness grope, and find within its deadened heart to sing these songs of sorrow, love, and faith and hope? How did it catch that subtle undertone, that note in music heard not with the ears? How sound the elusive reed so seldom blown, which stirs the soul or melts the heart to tears? Not that great German master in his dream of harmonies that thundered 'mongst the stars at the creation ever heard a theme nobler than Go Down Moses, mark its bars? How like a mighty trumpet call they stir the blood, such are the notes that men have sung, going to valorous deeds, such tones there were that helped make history when time was young. There is a wide, wide wonder in it all, that from degraded rest and servile toil the fiery spirit of the seer should call these simple children of the sun and soil. O black slave singers, gone, forgot, unfamed, you alone of all the long, long line of those who've sung untaught, unknown, unnamed, have stretched out upward, seeking the divine. You sang not deeds of heroes or of kings, no chant of bloody war, no exulting paean of arms won triumphs, but your humble strings you touched in chord with music empyrean. You sang far better than you knew the songs that for your listeners' hungry hearts sufficed, still live, but more than this to you belongs. You sang a race from wood and stone to Christ. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Old by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Read for LibriVox.org by Mary Patterson. I have seen peoples come and go, alike the ocean ebb and flow. I have seen kingdoms rise and fall, like springtime shadows on a wall. I have seen houses rendered great, that grew from lives' debased estate. And all is change I see. So, dearest God, take me, take me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Orphan Ballad-Singers by Miss Landon. Read for LibriVox.org by Lynda Neilson, Vancouver, BC. Oh, weary, weary are our feet, and weary, weary is our way. Through many a long and crowded street we've wandered mournfully to-day. My little sister, she is pale, she is too tender and too young to bear the autumn's sullen gale, and all day long the child has sung. She was our mother's favorite child, who loved her for her eyes of blue, and she is delicate and mild. She cannot do what I can do. She never met her father's eyes, although they were so like her own. In some far distant sea he lies, a father to his child unknown. The first time that she lisped his name, a little playful thing was she. How proud we were! Yet that night came the tale how he had sunk at sea. My mother never raised her head. How strange, how white, how cold she grew! It was a broken heart, they said. I wish our hearts were broken too. We have no home, we have no friends. They said our home no more was ours. Our cottage where the ash tree bends, the garden we had filled with flowers, the sounding shells our father brought, that we might hear the sea at home, our bees that in the summer wrought the winter's golden honeycomb. We wandered forth, mid wind and rain, no shelter from the open sky. I only wished to see again my mother's grave, and rest and die. Alas, it is a weary thing to sing our ballads o'er and o'er, the song we used at home to sing. Alas, we have a home no more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Pauper's Funeral by Robert Southey. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. What, and not one to heave the pious sigh? Not one whose sorrow swollen and aching eye For social scenes, for life's endearments fled, Shall drop a tear and dwell upon the dead? Poor wretched outcast, I will weep for thee, And sorrow for forlorn humanity. Yes, I will weep, but not that thou art come To the stern Sabbath of the silent tomb. For squalid want and the black scorpion care, Heart-withering fiends, shall never enter there. I sorrow for the ills thy life has known, As through the world's long pilgrimage, alone, Haunted by poverty and woe begone. Unloved, unfriended, thou didst journey on, Thy youth in ignorance and labor past, And thine old age all barrenness and blast. Hard was thy fate, which while it doomed to woe Denied thee wisdom to support the blow, And robbed of all its energy thy mind, Ere yet it cast thee on thy fellow kind, Abject of thought, the victim of distress, To wander in the world's wide wilderness. Poor outcast, sleep in peace. The wintry storm blows bleak no more on thine unsheltered form. Thy woes are past, thou restest in the tomb. I pause, and ponder on the days to come. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Nefeli Vidali. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow for my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my heart grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word "Lenore." Nearly this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not an instant stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure nor craven. Ghastly grim and ancient raving, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast above the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour, Nothing further then he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow will he leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushion's velvet violet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by angels whose faint footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite and nepenthe from the memories of Lenore. Quaff, O quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird of devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there a balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sleep by Arthur Symons, read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. As if tired out with kisses, content to be at rest, here on my breast, her mouth that ached with kisses drooped to my shoulder, then she sighed a little, smiled, then, like a happy child, she fell asleep upon my breast. Love comes and goes, and this is love that I once possessed. Love, like the rest, and goes the way of kisses. Yet 1 hour lives of all those hours that died, when, like a child, she turned to me, just smiled, and fell asleep upon my breast. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 73 by William Shakespeare. Read for LibriVox.org by J. N. Fletcher. That time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves, or none, or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold, bare ruined choirs where late the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self, that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the death-bed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well, which thou must leave ere long. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Surprised by Joy, Impatient as the Wind by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Surprised by joy, impatient as the wind, I turn to share the transport. Oh, with whom but thee, deep buried in the silent tomb, that spot which no vicissitude can find? Love, faithful love, recalled thee to my mind, but how could I forget thee? Through what power, even for the least division of an hour, have I been so beguiled as to be blind to my most grievous loss? That thought's return was the worst pang that sorrow ever bore, save one only, when I stood forlorn, knowing my heart's best treasure was no more, that neither present time nor years unborn could to my sight that heavenly face restore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Excerpt from The Temple of Nature, or The Origin of Society, by Erasmus Darwin, 1731 to 1802. Read for LibriVox.org. First, if you can, celestial guide, disclose from what fair fountain mortal life arose, whence the fine nerve to move and feel assign, contractile fibre and ethereal mind. How love and sympathy the bosom warm, allure with pleasure and with pain alarm, with soft affections weave the social plan, and charm the listening savage into man. God the first cause, in this terrene abode young nature lisps, she is the child of God. From embryon bursts her changeful forms improve, grow as they live, and strengthen as they move. Ere time began, from flaming chaos hurled, rose the bright spheres, which form the circling world. Earths from each sun, with quickening explosions burst, and second planets issued from the first. Then, whilst the sea at their coeval birth, surge over surge, involved the shoreless earth, nursed by warm sunbeams in primeval caves, organic life began beneath the waves. First heat from chemic dissolution springs, and gives to matter its eccentric wings. With strong repulsion parts the exploding mass, melts into lymph or kindles into gas. Attraction next, as earth or air subsides, the ponderous atoms from the light divides. Approaching parts with quick embrace combines, swell into spheres, and lengthen into lines. Last, as fine goads the gluten threads excite, cords grapple cords, and webs with webs unite, and quick contraction with ethereal flame lights into life the fibre-woven frame. Hence, without parent, by spontaneous birth, rise the first specks of animated earth. From nature's womb the plant or insect swims, and buds or breathes with microscopic limbs. In earth, sea, air, around, below, above, life's subtle woof in nature's loom is wove. Points glued to points a living line extends, touched by some goad approach the bending ends. Rings join to rings, and irritated tubes clasp with young lips the nutrient globes or cubes, and urged by appetencies new select, imbibe, retain, digest, secrete, eject. In branching cones the living web expands, lymphatic ducts and convoluted glands, aortic tubes propel the nascent blood, and lengthening veins absorb the refluent flood. Leaves, lungs, and gills the vital ether breathe on earth's green surface or the waves beneath. So life's first powers arrest the winds and floods, to bones convert them, or to shells or woods. Stretch the vast beds of argile, lime, and sand, and from diminished oceans form the land. Next, the long nerves unite their silver train, the young sensation permeates the brain. Through each new sense the keen emotions dart, flush the young cheek, and swell the throbbing heart. From pain and pleasure quick volitions rise, lift the strong arm, or point the inquiring eyes. With reason's light bewildered man direct, and right and wrong with balance nice detect. Last, in thick swarms associations spring, thoughts join to thoughts, to motions motions cling, whence in long trains of catenation flow imagined joy and voluntary woe. So viewed through crystal spheres in drops saline, quick shooting salts in chemic forms combine, or mucker stems, a vegetable tribe, spread their fine roots, the tremulous wave imbibe. Next to our wondering eyes the focus brings self-moving lines and animated rings. First monas move, an unconnected point plays round the drop without a limb or joint. Then vibrio waves with capillary eels, and vorticella whirls her living wheels, while insect Proteus sports with chainful form through the bright tide, a globe, a cube, a worm. Last over the field the mighty enormous swims, swells his red heart, and writhes his giant limbs. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Tide Rises, the Tide Falls by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by J. N. Fletcher. The tide rises, the tide falls, the twilight darkens, the curlew calls. Along the sea sands, damp and brown, the traveler hastens toward the town, and the tide rises, the tide falls. Darkness settles on the roofs and walls, but the sea, and the darkness calls. The little waves, with their soft white hands, efface the footprints in the sands, and the tide rises, the tide falls. The morning breaks, the steeds in their stalls stamp and neigh as the hostler calls. The day returns, but never more returns the traveler to the shore, and the tide rises, the tide falls. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To T.L.H. by Leigh Hunt. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. To T.L.H., 6 years old, during a sickness. Sleep breathes at last from out thee, my little patient boy, and balmy rest about thee smooths off the day's annoy. I sit me down and think of all thy winning ways, yet almost wish, with sudden shrink, that I had less to praise. Thy sidelong pillowed meekness, thy thanks to all that aid, thy heart in pain and weakness, of fancied faults afraid, the little trembling hand that wipes thy quiet tears, these are things that may demand dread memories for years. Sorrows I've had, severe ones, I will not think of now, and calmly midst my dear ones have wasted with dry brow. But when thy fingers press and pat my stooping head, I cannot bear the gentleness, the tears are in their bed. Ah, firstborn of thy mother, when life and hope were new, kind playmate of thy brother, thy sister, father too, my light where'er I go, my bird when prison bound, my hand in hand companion, no, my prayer shall hold thee round. To say, he has departed, his voice, his face is gone, to feel impatient hearted, yet feel we must bear on. Ah, I could not endure to whisper of such woe, unless I felt this sleep and sure that it will not be so. Yes, still he's fixed and sleeping, the silence too the while, its very hush and creeping seem whispering us a smile. Something divine and dim seems going by one's ear, like parting wings of seraphim who say, "We've finished here." End a poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Town by J.C. Squire. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Mostly in a dull rotation we bear our loads and eat and drink and sleep, feeling no tears, knowing no meditation, too tired to think, too clogged with earth to weep, dimly convinced, poor groping wretches like eyeless insects in a murky pond, that out and out this city stretches away and away, and there is no beyond, no larger earth, no loftier heaven, no cleaner, gentler airs to breathe. And yet even to us sometimes is given vision of things we other times forget. Some day is done, its labor ended, and as we sit and brood at windows high, a steady wind from far descended blows off the filth that hid the deeper sky. There are the empty waiting spaces. We watch unwinking, pale and dumb, till gliding up with noiseless paces, night covers all the wide arch. Night has come. Not that sick false night of the city, lurid and low and yellow and obscene, but mother night, pure, full of pity, a star-strewn night, blue, potent and serene. Oh, as we gaze the clamor ceases, the turbid world around grows dim and small, the soft shed influence releases our shrouded spirits from their dusty pall. No more we hear the turbulent traffic. Not scorned but unremembered is the day. The night, all luminous and seraphic, has brushed its heavy memories away. The great blue night so clear and kindly, the little stars so wide-eyed and so still, open a door for souls that blindly had wandered, tunneling the endless hill. They draw the long untraversed portal. Our souls slip out and tremble and expand. The immortal feels for the immortal. The eternal holds the eternal by the hand. Impalpably we are led and lifted. Softly we shake into the gulf of blue. The last environing veil is rifted, and lost horizons float into our view. Lost lands, lone seas, lands that afar gleam with a miraculous beauty, faint yet clear. Forgotten lands of night and star gleam, seas that are somewhere but are not here. Borne without effort or endeavor, swifter and more ethereal than the wind, in level track we stream, whilst ever the fair pale panorama rolls behind. Now fleets below a tranced moorland, a sweep of glimmering immobility. Now craggy cliff and dented foreland pass back, and there beyond unfolds the sea. Now wastes of water heaving, drawing great darkling tracks of patterned restlessness, with whitened waves round rough rocks mawing and licking islands in their fierce caress. Now coasts with capes and ribboned beaches, set silent 'neath the canopy of sapphirine, and estuaries and river reaches, phantasmal silver in the night's soft shine. Ah, these fair woods the spirit crosses, these quiet lakes, these stretched dreaming fields, these undulant downs with piny bosses pointing the ridges of their sloping shields, these valleys and these heights that screen them, these tawnier sands where grass and tree are not, ah, we have known them, we have seen them, we saw them long ago, and we forgot. We know them all, these placid countries, and what the pathway is and what the goal. These are the gates, and these are the sentries that guard the ancient fortress of the soul. And we speed onward, flying, flying over the sundering waves of hill and plain, to where they rear their heads undying, the unnamed mountains of old days again. The snows upon their calm still summits, the chasms, the files of trees that foot the snow, curving like inky frozen comets into the forest ocean spread below. The glisten where the peaks are hoarest, the soundless darkness of the sunken vales, the folding leagues of shadowy forest, edge beyond edge till all distinctness fails. So invulnerable it is, so deathless, so floods the air the loveliness of it, that we stay dazzled, rapt, and breathless, our beings ebbing to the infinite. There as we pause, there as we hover, still poised in ecstasy, a sudden light breaks in our eyes, and we discover we sit at windows gazing to the night, wistful and tired, with eyes a-tingle, where still the sting of beauty faintly smarts, but with our mute regrets there mingle thanks for the resurrection of our hearts. O night so great that will not mock us! O stars so wise that understand the weak! O vast consoling hands that rock us! O strong and perfect tongues that speak! O night enrobed in azure splendor! O whispering stars whose radiance falls like dew! O mighty presence and tender! You have given us back the dreams our childhood knew. Lulled by your visions without number, we seek our beds, content and void of pain, and dreaming drowse and dreaming slumber, and dreaming wake to see the day again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.